Welcome to the 10 Acre Woods. My name is Mark, and in this video I wanted to go over where do animals come from? Where do our animals come from specifically? I've been getting quite a few comments of people asking what is that and where does it come from? So I thought I'd fill in the gaps. Since I'm out here with Fernando, who's, I don't know what he's doing. Fernando, what are you doing? So Fernando is a turkey. And he is a heritage breed turkey, so a bronze heritage because of his nice bronze colors. Fernando, where's your tail? His tail is starting to molt, so he's only got about 4 or 5 feathers on the back end. I think he's just cleaning himself now. Usually you don't see him in this state. He's all puffed up, and he's looking mighty handsome. So they were identified incorrectly when the Europeans came over. They thought that these were Guinea fowl, pretty big Guinea fowl if you ask me. So they renamed them the turkey after the Turkey merchants who were bringing Guinea fowl into Europe. So I'm not sure about, I looked into the Turkey merchants. I'm assuming they are merchants from the country Turkey. And then that's where the name came from. So people in different countries haven't really seen turkeys that much. We did do an episode last year on Thanksgiving where we took Fernando to the university. And all of the university students were there from the foreign students, the international students were there. So we thought it would be neat to get them to have a peek at Fernando the turkey. Hey, bud? All right, so we're gonna go into the animal pen and we're just gonna go over a bunch of the different animals, where they came from, how long they live. Turkeys, well, if they can make it past Thanksgiving, they'll usually, from what I understand, about 8 to 10 years they'll live. So let's head on in and we'll go over the other animals. Sheldon! Oh, Sheldon! So Sheldon is our special little boy. He's got this area in here. And a lot of people have mentioned, oh, we haven't seen Sheldon that much. Well, I think last weekend when I did the video, he may have been off to a petting farm. So Sheldon's doing great. He was given a 0% chance of survival by the vet. And he's, as you can see, he's doing well. He's a little stunted in growth, but that makes him so much more cuter, right, Sheldon? So Sheldon is a pygmy goat, an African pygmy goat, and we'll go over and have a look at the other ones as well. Here we go over here. So here's where the crew is. They are hanging out, some are relaxing. Actually, they're up just kind of checking things out. So Patches, right there. And we've got, well, all the kids. And these kids leave this week. So they're going to be heading out. We had our last goat yoga session today. And it was a huge hit. So I had a really good time. So pygmy goats are from Africa. So they came to North America in around the 1950s. And their average lifespan is approximately 8 to 18 years. So you can get, depending on their health and you know, how they're taken care of, they can last for quite a long time. Now, guineas. Actually, the guineas must have jumped over the fence. Guineas are here. So these are the guineas. So the guineas, you know, they're quite a bit smaller than the turkey. So maybe they thought it was just a large guinea, a large breed, an unknown guinea breed that they had never run across before. And Mama is inside the pen there with the little Keats. So the baby guineas are called Keats. You can see on the top of their head they have what looks like a horn. So a horn or a helmet. And we get a lot of people asking, what are these things? Now, guinea fowl will eat essentially their weight in wood ticks in a season. So they're great for that. We have never had any wood ticks in this area for the past couple years. So, and another good thing is they'll alert for prey. So if there's any kind of birds or anything flying overhead, these guys will start to chirp and notify everybody else that there is something in the area. And I guess they have their own language, because they'll also chirp if they just get lost. So one of them will be on one side of the fence, maybe one will be over here on this side of the fence, trying to get back and forth, and they go back and forth and back and forth. They actually wear a spot in the ground. But of course, if a dog, for example, over in the dog run over there, if a dog comes running down and runs up to them, then they will immediately fly and get over top of the fence. Now, these pigs here, the little piggies. Now, I didn't do really much research on these guys. They're Yorkshire or Yorkshire crosses, so I'm assuming that they come from England. Now, these pigs here will probably get to be around 600 to 700 pounds. These guys are bred for meat. And if you've ever heard of the term micro, nano, mini pig, these are not. Even though they're so small and so cute right now, a micro pig, a nano pig, a mini pig, however you want to call it, are pigs when full grown reach 150 or no more than 150 pounds. So these guys will be substantially larger. Now this one here is Wiggles. So Wiggles came in because she was stepped on by her mom and broke her kneecap. So since she was so young, it has healed, but it's likely, the vet tells us, that she will develop some arthritis when she gets older. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how she mends. And this little boy here is Bouncer. So Bouncer was found after bouncing out of the back of a hog truck. He was taken to a wild animal rescue in northwestern Ontario, and from there he was given the treatment that he needs. But of course, wild animal rescues, they generally release the animals back into the wild after they have rehabilitated them. So of course that wasn't the case, because this is a domestic pig. So they had contacted us, and Tara drove down to Kenora, which is about 2 hours away, northwestern Ontario, and picked this little boy up. So, and he is doing great, him and Wiggles. Wiggles. Hey? And they love to play with their ball. We may have to reinflate it. It looks like it's starting to lose a little bit of air, but that's their favorite toy. Right, Wiggles? Hey? So the thought is, during the winter we may bring them inside for winter, and then next year we'll have maybe a designated area for the pigs. I don't know. We'll see how they do. They root quite a bit. We haven't had the large breeds. We've had Juliana painted pigs, which are the micro nano mini pigs, and we have some pot-bellied pigs. So here I am in at the smaller pond on our enclosure. I was just looking for our rowan duck. So we've got a couple rowans. Well, there's a female right here, but there's a male that is, actually there's another rowan there. So they look like mallard ducks. Now, I don't know where. Sometimes they wander off. We've got a couple ducks over in that area as well, but I don't see him. Well, hopefully he didn't get caught by a bird. We sometimes see that crows will come in, but usually we'll see some feathers. So he's obviously just likely wandering around. We'll probably find him a little bit later. So the rowan duck is actually originated from France, and it was bred primarily for exhibition and for meat. Very similar to the mallards. You probably can't see a size comparison, but they're quite a bit larger. Now, if you know of the Pekin duck, this here is Einstein. And I'll give you one guess as to why we have called him Einstein. So he is a tufted or crested Pekin duck. Now, Pekin ducks, they originated in the US. They had derived from birds that were brought in from China in the 19th century. And these guys will live approximately 9 to 12 years of age. Of course, providing that no predators get them. Here's another pekin over here. And of course the other pekin is out on the water. So moving to the Chinese geese, which are not those ones. Oh, here they are over here. So the Chinese geese, they've got, they're distinguishable by the bump on their bill, on the top of their bill. So these guys here, you mainly get them in browns or white colorations, but you can get some variations of them. And they are descendants from the white swan goose that is native to Asia. Who else? Okay, so getting back to those other geese that are over here. So originally thought that they were Danish geese. Now, I had always gotten Danish and pilgrim geese all mixed up. And then I settled on Danish, but I was wrong there as well. So Danish geese actually have brown coloration on their back and on their wings, kind of like a saddle, if you will. But I believe from the research I've done, I think these are Czech geese. So from the Czech Republic and that surrounding area. Just because they look like an Emden goose, and some people will say, oh, those are some Emden geese. But the Emdens are quite a bit larger than these guys. And so I'm going to stick with Czech geese. Now, nobody's corrected me before when I've called them pilgrims, but hopefully that'll stick, and I think I've finally figured out. I've learned quite a bit about, like I did a little bit of research on some of the animals that I didn't know about. Of course, these guys here are Muscovy ducks, so I do know quite a bit about them. Muscovy ducks are basically native to, or not native, they originate from northern South America. But you can find Pharaoh Muscovy ducks in New Zealand, Australia, parts of Europe and the UK. And their average lifespan is about 8 to 10 years old. Now, the male, which all three of these are males, there's High and there's Guys, and I'm not sure of his name. I know a few of the other ones. I'm sure he does have a name. But these guys are the largest ducks that I've ever run across. There has a couple other people that have said, oh, what about this duck or that duck? And I did a little bit of research, and these guys are still bigger. So this one here is Barry. And the reason why I know it's Barry is because we left on his feet, right at the bottom, we left that kind of fluffy, and his hair's kind of fluffy as well. Shanzy, which is back here with Paula. So these are the two females. And yes, they may be pregnant. Their gestation period is 11 months. Now, something very interesting is I was looking up, we were talking about babies and what are the babies called. So I couldn't remember exactly, and I Googled it, and it was Cria, and that's I kind of remembered that after that. It's one of those hiccups that you get. Your brain just doesn't work very good. But what's funny is, well, not so much the female, but she is a Hembra, so that's what she's officially, the female is a Hembra. So a Hembra alpaca. And where is, oh, he's standing on his poop pile. Oh, do you want a little privacy, buddy? Barry, a male alpaca, is known as a macho. So this is Macho Barry. Are you macho, buddy? Is that your poop pile? So interesting fact here is he's got a couple of these around the yard. So he's got one back here, and then up in the yoga area, he has another one up there. And they're litter trained, essentially. Hey, bud? You always poop in the same spot. Oh, boy. Good boy. Okay, I found the boy. I found the drake. So this one here is the female. And this one here is the drake. So it's because he's molting, and his head should be a bright, vibrant green. but it's not. It's just a light green. So there he is. I found him. Sticking his head in the water. Okay, who's next? So we got the kids. We got the pot-bellied pigs. So as I mentioned, yeah, these are micro-nano pigs. Oh, look, who's that? That looks like Tinker. Is Tinker tired? They like the cool ground, the sand. Oh, roosters, roosters, rooster fight. This happens from time to time. They just have to, he's gonna get him back. So it's essentially play fighting. They don't hurt each other. We watch when we put new roosters in to make sure that they aren't gonna harm each other. And it looks like all the activity's done. The other boys are coming over, you know, what's going on, guys? You know, we talked about this last week. We're not gonna argue about it anymore. And they're just gonna kind of walk off. But they get into little tiffs every once in a while. Okay, getting back to our sheep. So let's go over and see some of the other sheep. Hey, bud. This is Turbo. He's the troublemaker. Turbo. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? What are you doing, Turbo? Hi, bud. So he's a Canadian Arcot sheep. And the Canadian Arcot sheep were, of course, bred here in Canada for our colder climate and for the strong meat characteristics. We've got a couple more in here. And they were registered in 1990 was when they were actually registered as a breed. And this is Hannibal. Hi, Hanny. Hanny's an old one. So we figure he's probably about 8 years old, 8, possibly 10 years old. The people who had him prior to us they didn't have him when he was young, but they only had him for a year. So they lived to about 10 to 16 years again, on depending on how healthy they are. He had a little bit of a coughing spell. And it was likely derived from dusty and moldy hay, and that gets into their lungs, and it's just not nice, right, Hanny? Right, Hannibal? Hey, bud, will you go back to sleep? Sorry to disturb you. Patches here. Hey, Patches. So she's also an African pygmy goat. Now, now that I'm in the building here, I guess I should show you around a little bit. So the old building that we had ended right here. So this was kind of a paneled off area in the wintertime. We paneled that off. And then over in this area here, the dirt markings across here, and then it kind of jugs up because this one was a slightly higher. This was a woodshed that was in here, a woodshed that was in here, and then in here. So it was 3 woodsheds, and they really only came out, they might have come out about this far, just slightly in. So they probably were about that big. And that's all the winter area that we had. So now by adding on another section, another 2 sections here, we've extended the area 20 feet, and we've torn out the inside buildings that were in here. So Tara's got it all planned out. This is the feeding area, so we're gonna have our hay in here. We've got our hay feeders in here, and we're not gonna put hay into their bedrooms. So these are their bedrooms. We may move the salt over on the other side because they usually stick their head through and start licking that up. We want to make sure that they're not taking any food into the bedrooms because it goes on the ground, it gets trampled on, and this year has been a really bad year because it's just been so dry. So hay is hard to come by. Now we'll go inside to our little boys here. So these, look at them all lined up. Oh, you guys knew I was coming, didn't you? So these are called Yeah, they're called Serama roosters, or the Serama chickens. So they are a relatively new breed within the last 50 years, and they've been bred by crossing Japanese and Malaysian bantams. Now, what's interesting, when I did a little bit of research on them, I found out that they're named Rama after the title of the kings of Thailand, I guess is, that's their title. They're a Rama. So Sir Rama, because, and I'm guessing they were named royalty because the way they stand. Like, look at them. They just look so proud, and they're so upright, and yes. Are you guys royalty? So that was interesting. This is the smallest breed of chicken, apparently, in the world. So these guys are full grown, and they're in here because we don't want them. Yes, that's Zeus. We don't want them out with the other ones because if they get into a fight with them, they're liable to lose those pretty little tails. Hey, buds? Oh, here's Prince in here. It's not a really great shot, but we do have, let's see here, we have a hen, and she has been sitting on some eggs. So we've been trying to get them to sit on eggs all summer. Now it's late in the year, so, you know, if we can get a couple more peafowl, that would be nice. So, okay, boys, okay, I'm busy here. Can you just keep it down a little bit? Just a little? You guys are supposed to only crow in the morning. All right, so these guys, focus. Not bad. So these guys are Indian peafowl or blue peafowl. And of course, you guessed it, they're from India. And they were, they were the earliest usage of the word peafowl, I'll catch him when I go outside, was in the 1300s. There's been documentation, different ways of wording the word peafowl, different spellings. So 1300s. And then, of course, they were brought over to North America. Now, pigeons. So these aren't any particular breed of pigeon. None that I know of. Some of you out there might recognize. This one here, the gray one, looks kind of like a homer. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on him. There we go. I would say he would likely be... homers, I think, are more gray, though. Actually, there. This one's... See, I'm not really... I know a few fancy pigeon. The lacquer shield, the old German owl. We had some of those ones, but these are just, well, what Tiana calls some of them, the one with the stripes, like this gray one, is actually, I forget what she calls them. It's a pigeon. But it's the standard pigeons you would see in the city. A picture pigeon, that's what Tiana calls them. Because they look like a picture of your standard pigeon. All right, Prince. Let's take another look at Prince, a little better look at him. Hey, bud. So you can see he has no tail. Just like Fernando out front, Prince is molting. So he's going. Are you going to talk, Prince? Hoo-wah! Hoo-wah! There you are. Hoo-wah! Yeah, sounds like a big cat. Are you a big cat? Hoo-wah! No, that's it. Anyway, so he is molting. He's lost all of his long tail feathers. You can see them kind of scattered on the ground here. We've picked up some of them and just kind of tucked them in here and over here. So he will grow his tail back over the winter when he's inside, and for spring, he'll have a nice long tail. Looking all pretty for those ladies again, eh, boy? Now we've got a few different breeds of rabbits. We've got some Rex cross. The only purebred I think we have is it's called a lion head. No, here's one here. Look at that. Doesn't she look like a little lion? So the lion heads are from Belgium. They were recognized in the UK probably around early 2000s and in the US is a registered breed in around 2012-ish. So they're relatively new, and they were actually crossed by a miniature Swiss fox, which is a type of rabbit, and a Netherland dwarf. So their lifespan, they usually last or live probably to around 8 years old. Hey, so this one came in, this was a mom to some other little, hi, oh what, where are you going? This one here you can see is, well, you could see, she's got, almost like she's got some Angora in her. Oh, what do you, and this one actually looks like she's got some Hodo in her. Hi. Yes, you're just a cute little one with that little spot on the eye. And then here's a black lion head. So these guys are, we had quite a few of them. You can see the coloration if you've seen Rex, the breed Rex rabbits. This is a very common color. They come in that spotted, but these guys are more Angora type. But they have the very plush fur, so they're kind of crosses. But these little ones here, that's the only main breed or pure breed that we currently have in here. Our newest rescue is Bronwyn. So she came in, you would have seen her in the last video. Now Bronwyn is a, if you watch that video you'll see I was like, I thought we were getting a sheep, not a goat. But she is a goat, and she's a Dorper cross. Oh, hi, bud. Yeah, you're a sheep too, aren't you? She is a Dorper cross, and oh, now I'm out of focus. There we go. So her hair, and it is hair, it's straight. So she is a haired sheep. You can see the little tufting on her back. So that's kind of the classic wool. But I'm not sure exactly the cross, but she's mainly Dorper. Now tails, so you can see the tail here. She does have a tail, and if we look at the butts of these guys here, they don't have a tail. So these guys came in from a farmer. They were failure to thrive in the field, and their tails were docked. So they were cut off, and the reason for that is because they will get, with having the longer tail, the feces and everything will get all caught up, and they'll run into all kinds of health problems. So the tail usually gets docked. Now on this type, on a haired sheep, they don't get docked because the hair, so it's not wool, so their bum can remain relatively clean. And therefore the tail is not a concern. So here in the pig pen, oh, look at those guys. I guess they are all played out with the ball. So I was looking for a female Muscovy, and here is one here. So she's in this area here. You should come in here, or the boy's picking on you. Is that why you're over here? So they're quite a bit smaller. It's hard to tell when they're separated like this, but when you see them side by side, these ducks here are about the size of a Pekin duck, maybe a little bit smaller. And then of course the male, the drake, is quite a bit larger. Let's see, they are right over there. All right, now we're gonna go up front. But before we do, I don't know, I haven't touched base on the pond a little bit. So let's have a look at that. Now I wired up some conduit underneath here. That's why I've still, actually this was a leftover pipe from the fountain that we've built up over there. So this is the small pond area. Now we had a pond before, but it wasn't lined, and it drained down, and it was empty because of just the lack of water that we've had. So this hose here, we just got dumping out. Next year we'll likely think of another way of, like we'll have some kind of waterfall. Maybe I'll put a valve in. We'll have a couple water features. But for now, we're getting oxygen into the water. And we're starting to get some growth on the bottom, which the ducks are, well, there's a good example right there. They're diving down or sticking their head down, and they're eating it off the bottom. But we do want to put some fish in here. We'll likely put some fish in the spring. They're just too expensive to buy, like feeder goldfish, when we can, in the springtime, go to a ditch in the area and scoop up a whole bunch of fish and put them in. So that's dumping into the stream, and the stream's coming down and coming over. So this is the final height that the pond is. Now, over here, yeah, right there. There is the drainage inlet. Now, on the other side of the berm there is, this one's put in on a slight level because we do get water flooding from that back, and it's going to come in. It's going to fill this up even more so in the spring, and then it's going to run out, and it's all been designed that it's going to flood out that way, and we'll get a nice fresh batch of water in the springtime. Okay, so I think that's it. We got the wellhead there. This is what's feeding the pond, so it's pulling up from underneath the pond, dumping it in here. It's still running, and that is that. So we'll do some landscaping on that, is what's left to be done, and then get some grass seed, and hopefully we can grow some grass in this area. Now, a lot of this is gravel, because we dug everything up, but we've got all of our stuff that comes out of the barn, we line up in this area here. So this is kind of our composting area. The pigs will root through it, it'll get raked up, it'll get turned, and then we can take that and put that material over the ground. And then of course, just them pooping and moving hay and stuff around, you start to get a humus layer of material for grass to start growing. Here is Shadow. Marley is coming up behind. Where is Willow? Hey. Now ponies, I've always gotten ponies, miniature horses, I've gotten it all mixed up. But I've read, now correct me if I'm wrong, all you equestrian people out there. So the pony is actually a horse that stands less than 14.2 hands tall, which is about 58 inches to the top of the leg, right there. So these are ponies. Now, we've had horses before, which were a lot larger than 14.2 hands. Here's Willow here. Now, so if these are horses, small horses, you will, actually you notice here that she has her harness still on, and Shadow does not. I managed to get Shadow's harness off. Oh yeah, give her a little bump. But Willow's, she's a quick one. Now, I wanted to get it off because they are in a wooded area, and one of the Aussie viewers had mentioned you should take that off, and we knew we should take it off, but of course you get lazy and you're like, oh yeah, they'll be fine, but you know, for safety's sake. So I'll hopefully have that off her sooner rather than later. So anyway, what I was mentioning was these guys, if they are horses, then they would look very much like the American paint, which came from New Hampshire, I understand. Here are the other goats. So we've got Carl. Hey, Carl. He knows his name. Carl. So Carl is the dad to all the kids in there. And of course Marley hangs out with these guys, part of the herd. So we thought he was Marlene until we shaved him and found out that no, he's a boy. So him and Barry were fighting, that's why he's up here. And Billy is coming up the rear. So Billy is one of last year's kids. And that's it. So I think that is it for all the animals. I think I covered everybody. I did find one of the Muscovies. Yeah, I lost it. Yeah, no, I think everybody's pretty much accounted for. And then there's all the different types of chickens in there, which chickens have been around for millennium. We've got some Americanas in there, some black Australorps. in the building, which we're going to be opening that area up. Now that we've done some work over by the pony shelter, Carl can't get into the food area there. We want to pull down that wire and have the hens roam free. Now I don't know if we'll do that still this fall or we will do it next year. I think the plans are to do it this fall once we get everything finished up. But that's it for this video, so I hope you learned something. I know I did. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Until next video, have a wonderful week and take care. Bye-bye.